Hello, all my beautiful souls. This is Breaking the Cage, and I am Shaman Bells, or Michelle Espinosa, which is my real name. And for any of you who haven't seen or watched the show before, and for those who have, either way, I thank you for being here, whether it's through the Matrix Minds, whether it's through YouTube or iHeartRadio, coming through the Matrix Minds. I'm so glad that you're here with us, but we have so much to talk about. I have my little notes here. So much to talk about because this is the week of the total lunar eclipse. But that's not just it. I mean, that's a lot of it, but that's not just it. For those of you who have followed me for any amount of time, before I start getting into the different information that I'm told, or I start from spirit and that I'm channeling, as well as before I get into the astrology and the blueprint, what's going on in the human body. For any of you who followed me for any amount of time, I have said for the longest amount of time that whenever you're having, okay, let me put it this way. The closer you are to the equinox, that's just one of the things Spirit gives me often. I usually try to warn people not to do too much traveling before the equinoxes. It has to do with the way the planetary energy is on a normal, before you have the eclipses. On a normal, because the eclipses move with the nodes, or the nodes tell us where the eclipses will be. And as it moves with the moon's phases, it moves into different areas each year as it goes through. Now, when it's coming up and it's landing around the equinoxes, that makes it even more potent. Not to mention all of the solar flares that are getting higher and higher and higher, the geomagnetic storms, and the Schumann resonance as it just keeps climbing. I've been known to say for years, when you're getting closer to the equinoxes is when you see more natural disasters. It has to do with things that are going on inside of the planet. It has to do with the actual plates moving, slow little itty bitty creeping pieces, inches, fragments of movement over time. But what happens is that also starts to create air bubbles, which then starts, bringing up a lot of these natural disasters. Now, with that being said, of course, we know we're seeing things happen all over when we're watching the news and so forth. And that I'm not too surprised with, because even those who are not, when we're looking at things from a society perspective and what they're trying to keep hidden from you and distracted, keeping you look one way when they're doing something in another area, we know that they know how to follow this astrology and this information too. So while I am telling you at this time, natural disasters are most known to show up, I usually tell people about 3 weeks before eclipses. Not eclipses, 3 weeks before the equinox and 3 weeks after. Typically a month in both directions is where you will start to see it. I'm also told from Spirit, and I've been told this for like 10 years now. You'll see more and more and more of it the closer you are to the equator. And if you have a map, and on the global map or whatnot, it'll show you the tropics of Capricorn and the tropics of Cancer. So the warnings I am given typically from Spirit, from my guides and so forth, is anywhere between the tropics of Cancer and the tropics of Capricorn, how the equator goes straight through the center of them. That is where you'll typically notice most of the natural disasters will start to come up. The floodings and fires and hurricanes, earthquakes, all of it. But when you are dealing with the nodes bringing eclipses to this energy, it makes everything even more potent. And like I said, you're seeing the natural disasters along with disasters that were created by man and popping up even more and more over this month. And you're going to continue to notice it because, like I said, you have eclipses. You have an eclipse sandwiching the equinox and then another eclipse. And you're probably going to see that at the second eclipse season at the end of this year. And I even was warning of this over the last couple years as we got closer to them all being in the same time frame here, that you'll be noticing it more. This is why I've always stated, watch your vacation periods around these times and watch if you're in between that area on the map globally. But with that being said, we already are seeing that on the news and everything else. Now let's get into what we're looking at for this week, as well as what we're still just dealing with the eclipse energy, which is kind of carrying throughout the month. Because we had just come off of, working through the new moon, and now we're coming into the full moon, the total lunar eclipse in Virgo, sitting on top of the South Node. Everything you're good at, but it doesn't serve you anymore. And on a universal scale, that eclipse is going to be taking place from the universal scale in the 6th house, directly across from the 12th house. Well, the 6th house is Virgo, but it's your energy diet. I say this all the time because Virgo is anal retentive. It's very much anal retentive. It's very much troubleshooter. It's very much pick it all apart. But we have noticed that Virgo has been shifting its energy. And I've been saying this too for several years now, because ever since Regulus moved out, Regulus is one of those stars that move like every, 72 years. It takes just a small step and moves. And it's one of the fixed stars, is what I'm talking about. It's a fixed star that moves. But Regulus was known to be in Leo for the longest time. And as it moved into Virgo, it kind of started changing that energy of Virgo to a little bit more from the heart. It's still troubleshooter. It's still anal retentive. It's still, organizer and pick it all apart. But it's coming from a deeper seated spot now. It's the heart of the lion is what Regulus was. And now it's in Virgo. So we're looking at your energy diet, your people, places, things that you are a part of, what you are a part of in your mundane tasks every day. Just how straight from the heart or to the heart is this? Are these things that are part of your energy diet, your people, places, and things, what you are a part of? See, it's making that whole Virgo energy, even though it picks it apart and it's anal retentive and it's that troubleshooter type of energy. It's asking us just how important is it to our soul? Are we connecting our daily mundane and our routines and what we do? Like I say all the time, we have our daily routines, our daily mundane tasks. We get up every day, we have some breakfast, we take a shower, we go off to work, we have our things we do. But are these things, are these small pieces of routines, these energies that we are obtaining, that we are consuming, are they helping us? Do they serve our soul purpose? And I'm saying that because, like I said, it's Eclipse is going to be coming right in through this energy on top of the South Node. Everything that you're good at, that you've gotten used to, that you've managed to manipulate into working well for you because you know how to play this game. This is our jobs as well. Your routine is part of that. And the South Node is saying right there, it's showing us that there's something about this energy that is comfort zone that doesn't serve us anymore. With it going straight across, and this whole week, everybody is talking to the sun and Saturn, or just Pisces energy in general, and the universal 12th house, illuminating the boundaries, the rules, the walls, the boundaries, the resistance of being the creator or not of your life. That's what a lot of this eclipse has to come down to. Because we have really got to, I was speaking last week about enabling our health and speaking words and actions that we are so used to doing that maybe was taught to us that doesn't truly serve us. And I call it often, I use it in one form as mama's boy syndrome. You know, when you love somebody so much or you're holding on so tight that you're ultimately not allowing them to grow and mature. And I use it as mama's boy syndrome often because I'll be like, or just mama's syndrome, you know, I'll be like, when you're old enough to have a job, whether it's because you're 16 or maybe you're still 19 and you live at home, or maybe 20 or whatever, I don't care. But when you're old enough to have a job, your mother should not be calling out sick for you. You're old enough to have a job, you should be responsible. These kind of things where mama is still cradling baby, but not allowing baby to grow, fall, trip, learn how to survive on their own. Sometimes our love is an enabler. And it's the confusion of actual healing and help and growth, because that's what this is about. This is about a new beginning. This whole eclipse season is about a fresh new beginning, but you can only have that fresh new beginning if you are able to be connected to your own creation of reality without bringing the karma from the past with you. Another way of putting it, Egyptian mythology, when you die, they weigh your heart against a feather. Feather is very, very light. If you were carrying the weight, the anxiety, the stress the worry, the grief in your heart. You're still carrying the past. Where we're going, there's no room for that karma. If we are truly moving in ascension, dialing up our vibrations, coming into higher alignment, which is what we're being asked to do now. We have really got to learn where we're causing self-sabotage to our own creating of our own realities, where we're holding on to false healing, where we're holding on to the grief, the sorrow, the shame, the blame, all of that. The past and the karma cannot come to where we're going, or you're going to be starting another cycle again. And there's so much stuff that's becoming unfolded more and more and more every day from the stuff that we've been lied to about forever and ever. And most of us, if you're watching the show, already are aware. But still, we're finding out more and more and more. And we're seeing what society or your elites are trying to direct in their way of trying to still hold on to power. The more we're carrying on with that energy, we still need to be aware. But this is what I'm saying. We can't hold on to the past. We can't hold on to any of this. We need to be aware and smart and intelligent, but setting our new boundaries. That's part of what all of this is, setting our new boundaries, putting our foot down, putting sacrifice and commitment into what we are creating. With no more bullshit excuses, no more denial. You cannot take the weight of the past with you. Your grief, sorrow, shame, blame, insecurities, skeletons in the closet. It's you don't want to take the karma of that spirit into what we're creating, because otherwise you're walking into the political arena that they're trying to create. And that's not what you want. You want to be the creator of your own reality. So it's time. It's not even about magic. It's not even about higher dimensionally thinking. It's being in the higher dimensional realm mindfully, but spiritually and physically, where we are taking this. There's no more of that can come forward. It's not carrying the karma of that spirit with us, so that we let go. We give it away. It's no longer in our auras. It's no longer in our I just heard them say more or less, and the energy that would be like the cavity in the bone of who and what we are. We are moving towards fresh new starts, fresh new realities, fresh new beginnings by realizing all self-sabotage of lack of boundaries or lack of properly maneuvering them, and healing resistance of where we've been afraid, and truly stepping into sacrifice and commitment as we move into these things. So what the question of this month comes down to, not just this week, but as we're walking through this eclipse shift and making sure where we're supposed to be, is just how much of your will is your own, is your actual will, versus what's been implanted in your thinking process from the old you, from before you woke up, that you're still carrying in your cavity, in your bones. This is about teaching ourselves where we're having these personal little issues, where we're still in our comfort zones of not moving forward and not spiritually maturing and growing. Because this energy is definitely dealing with the solar plexus, but they're giving it to me in green, which typically is the heart chakra. But they're giving it to me in green because for me, green also means growth. And so we're supporting true self-commitment, self-courage, self-identity, self-purpose, self-worth. But that means we also have to see where the comfort zone is not supporting it from that universal 12th house, which has Neptune in it. It has Nessus in it. It has, return. It has Nessus, which is the curse, the ancestral healing of what we're trying to release from our cavity in a form of energy, as they were giving it to me. Saturn, Neptune, the North Node, everything you need to learn about where we don't heal, so we can heal all of our secrets from ourselves. Sirius, which is karma, the threefold. It's speaking to us about everything that we are truthfully nurturing or neglecting. And the sun is still here, illuminating all of it. And that's directly across from your total lunar eclipse, which is kind of shadow self going, we're not shadow anymore. This is getting past shadow work. This is soul work. This is becoming that creator and being one with all that you are by being aware of all that you are. When I get into the blueprint this week, before I start going into the astrology, like I said though, everything is talking to the sun and Saturn, which are basically in the same degree or just off by like a degree, which is very powerful, potent illumination. And illumination is not always seeing what you want to see. It is bringing it to light, all up in your face. The boundaries, where they're set well, where they're not, where the rules no longer fit or no longer apply, or we need some. What we are resisting in our growth. Nessus is the ancestral curse, more or less, what continues to happen and being passed down over and over and over, and what we were taught before we woke up and started realizing that that was all bullshit. And then are we nurturing it or are we neglecting it? But when I get into the blueprint and I start here at the top in the Aries energy, you have Mercury here, you have Venus here, which is still in retrograde, Chiron here, as well as Eris is here. But everything, Mercury, I didn't look where Eris was. I don't have that one in my actual, I have to check a different form to get my information on where that is. But on my normal stuff where I get my astrology information, Mercury, Venus, and Chiron. And in the human blueprint, they are all sitting on the eyes. I mean, technically it's going from the ears and the cheeks and the eyes, but it's all eyes and ears, eyes and ears. And what Spirit is reminding me is your eyes tell a lot more than maybe you're even realizing. Not just what you're viewing, but the weight in your eyes. I mean, having heavy eyes aren't just telling you you're tired. I mean, it can be, but it could also be speaking of high levels of grief, weariness, anxiety, emotional exhaustion. Your eyes are viewing the world and it's speaking to the body about how you are connecting with what you are viewing. If they're heavy, this is part of what they're talking about. If they are sore, it's telling you about a flawed perception. Just like if your eyes are having problems viewing, something's in your eye, or you're having, like the crossed eye feeling, like when you wake up and you rubbed your eyes too hard and you can't see quite right for a second or so. This is sore eye energy. Sore eye energy, when it sticks with you, is just speaking to you more or less of your perception of what you're viewing and telling you that you're not viewing things clearly from the heart and the soul. The heart, the mind, and the soul are not coming together as one. This is why it's so sore. If it's gritty, we are talking about being emotionally guarded. Gritty is more of, for those who are not awake, who are very three-dimensional, who are very much still resisting learning the truth. They don't want to see it. It hurts. I mean, your eyes tell you so much more about what you are viewing, your perception, and how you are bringing that energy into the actual blueprint that's dealing with your body. And your ears are connecting with what you're viewing, the world around you. This is your coming into your third and your crown, your third eye and your crown. It has everything to do with how you're creating your reality. Allow your eyes to help you understand what you may or may not be understanding. You still have Uranus, which is still on. Well, Uranus has been on in Taurus in the throat chakra forever, but it's finally moved off of the teeth. Now it's just straight up on the jaw. And this has to do with, again, it's been a while since I've spoken about it. It's speaking to us about being able to speak, being able to form words, being able to swallow, being able to breathe. It's also speaking of lockjaw in some forms. It is your upper jaw mainly. So this could also be dealing with how your teeth are feeling and its ability to move and so forth, which is actually connected a little bit more to the nose than what you may realize. So it is also bringing in the energy of the nose and speaking to us of what we are sensing in energies from what we smell. Such as aromatherapy is what I'm trying to get at. Aromatherapy is something that we are breathing in. When you're smelling things that help you stay in a more healthy, positive perspective. For me, I will put dragon's blood on all the time. I mean, dragon's blood just puts me in a happy yay place, or sandalwood. And I'm like, okay, I feel good about life again, to each their own. We are still dealing with it being the throat chakra, speaking, breathing, and creating our realities from where our mind is perceiving everything. And how are we viewing it? And how are our eyes actually affecting us? When we move down into where Jupiter is, it is the pulmonary veins. This is literally speaking about the oxygen intake and outtake from the lungs to the heart. It is speaking to us about our breathing abundantly. What energy, what life are you breathing in and out, exhaling and inhaling? What are you breathing into your veins? Remember, that's Jupiter right there. And that's abundant right now. Manifestation is coming fast. You have to take responsibility for the world you create and the vibration you choose to continue to be in, whether you're aware of it or not. But like I said, I'm being told a lot of this week has to do with, and this energy of the eclipses during this time has to do with the solar plexus. And you have Mars, which is in Cancer, but it is literally on the gastric blood vessels. Again, it is oxygen in the stomach. And what is being removed for waste? The carbon dioxide. And how well is the digestion going? The South Node is in Virgo, where that lunar eclipse is going to take place, in the digestive energy. It is speaking to us literally about the energy we breathe in, we consume, and we are digesting in us. And how well are we or not digesting our truth? How confident are you? The gut has a lot more to tell you about that gut feeling. But we have to remember the gut is that second brain, which is the solar plexus, speaking to us again about our confidence. We're talking about Mars being here and the South Node. And I always say Mars isn't just your warrior. It isn't just the god of war, but it's also speaking to you about what level of a warrior are you? Are you an apprentice? Are you just some punk who's out there, picking the fight because you're ballsy? Do you even know if you're, do you have any facts? Are you a wise warrior? Are you able to keep yourself under control and digest the shit that's going on around you and not lose your shit? I mean, a lot of this has to do with, like I said, the warrior I often call is also the inner belly dancer. If you're not comfortable in your own skin, you can't be a confident warrior. You're just a cocky smartass out to cause trouble then. A true warrior knows how to stand his ground without being manipulated by the cockiness of someone else. So, are you comfortable in your own skin, your inner belly dancer? Which brings us back to the solar plexus. What is your personal self-identity, your self-purpose, your self-worth? All of this, how confident and courageous and strong and firm. But all of this is taking place in the gut. And a lot of people say they have the gut feeling, but they don't always know how to read the gut feeling. Because sometimes the gut feeling isn't telling you that something's bad. Sometimes it's telling you you have the courage to make the change, to stand up and do something, but that you're a little scared about it. And that's okay. It's okay to be scared to make changes. You're stepping into a great wide open of the unknown. How would you know? So, shivering in your boots or not, you still do it. understanding when the gut feeling is going, oh no, this is incredibly bad and the bad shit, versus no, we got this. But that's unusual. It's something we have to overcome. And like I said, you have the Sun, Sirius, Nessus, Saturn, Neptune, and the North Node, all in Pisces, which is in the feet, which is in the worst parts of the energies. This is why people stub their toes so often. They're in such a hurry in the ego energy. Everything from the hips down goes into ego energy. It's different chakras, which I'm still working on making a course and a little class for that. I just haven't finished it yet. You have Claw, which is the Shaman, Pallas, and Pluto, which is in the ankles and the calves. About how far are you willing to go to make the change to be in that energy? You have in the knees, you have Pholos, Fool's Loss. This is telling us so much about ourselves. But I'm not going to have time to go through all the astrology. But I will say we have a Yod on the 11th. The eclipse takes place the night of the 13th into the morning of the 14th. So on the 11th, we have a Yod, which is, again, I said everything is dealing with Saturn and the Sun this week. And it is speaking with Lilith in the 7th house about your relationships with yourself and others. Any and everything you care about, you have a relationship with, from your peers to your family, to your children, to your job, to your car, to your bank. If you have no car, you know all about your lack of relationship with that lack of a car. So anything you care about, you have a relationship with. It is the Sun and Saturn illuminating what needs to heal. It's also speaking with the Moon in Leo. This is a creative energy, speaking about what we can breathe into creation by realizing how to restore your power, how to be in your power in the relationship without giving any of it away or being manipulated by it. This is a good spot for you to prepare for the energies coming in as we go into the lunar eclipse. But all week long, everybody is questioning and speaking with Saturn and the Sun, illuminating your rules, your walls, your boundaries, your resistance, your allowing truth to come through and prevail for changes in your life. Because I'm pretty much out of time. But this is a very positive week. It's just you've got to make sure that you're willing to go the distance. I love you guys. I will see you next week. Bye.